Welcome to UXI 2025 conference. Today we have with us Mr. Hemanth, who is from EY Studios. He is a product and experience lead leading the industry in design from across many industries from 20 plus years. So, sir, how are you liking the experience till now?
No, very good. It's been good. Meeting a lot of people from the industry, from the academia, from mainly I love interacting with students and the freshers who are starting career and stuff. So a lot of excitement, a lot of good questions come from there. So yeah, it's been great so far.
That's so true. We also want to ask some exciting questions
Sure.
today.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, about your session, which is Beyond Stakeholders, Unlocking the Power of Unseen Teams. What inspired you to focus on this theme?
So this actually coming from my own experience, right? So spanning a career of 20 plus years, I've started seeing in different roles, seeing patterns. While we are initially the problem was we didn't align all the stakeholders, but once we kind of, as the experience coming in, we aligned stakeholders, but still the project outcomes were not same as anticipated, right? Sometimes it's were blocked, or sometimes it was better than what we anticipated. So I started seeing and trying to understand where we were going wrong and what's lacking there, right? So that's when I realized if I look at the pattern, there are people whom we are kind of ignoring, and at the last minute or the halfway path are coming into we realizing, hey, we didn't include this, right? So these teams, like either it could be your IT or operations or compliance teams, where they could either block or delay your thing or amplify your outcomes. So that's where I kind of wanted to kind of share the same things, and how to now, yes, that's a challenge, but how do we find, and so I had come up with my own method and ways and how to, so that's what then this is my way of sharing it back to the community and leaders who are planning to be design leaders or already practicing design leaders, and how do we kind of solve this problem that's where all out of the experience.
That is so true. Like, we also face such challenges between the developer and the stakeholders.
Yes.
So I am really excited to hear your talk. So you build and scale design teams across agencies, product organizations, and consulting firms. What's the biggest difference in leading design across these contexts?
Yeah. So before starting on the differences, let's talk about what's commonalities. Commonalities is across all the three setups. You need to have a clarity, you need to collaborate, and you also need to understand the culture. That's given. And then also the context, right, where you are in. So that is given, and you have to be operating that across all. While you are doing that, the difference is that you need to, a design leader who would be successful to need to adapt to these different. So while if you take an agency, the focus is on selling ideas, right? Selling ideas and managing the clients, right? So that when you come to the product organization, it's how well you know the domain and the product and the users so deep, it's like almost into your blood, and then managing the instead of the stakeholders or the clients, here you're managing and working with engineering teams, QA teams, release teams, and planning with them, creating a product roadmaps and stuff. When you come to the consulting firms, the magnitude changes. Now your focus is on to aligning the stakeholders, the scale and magnitude grows. So you need to orchestrate better between multiple stakeholders, right? You have IT, business, and customers, operations, finance. So now it almost like becomes a chessboard where 4 players are playing. The board is changing almost every time in every direction. So that's the difference. So having said that, but the underlying principle that for one to be successful, they have to be situation aware, not that and be adaptable to the situations and apply your learnings and the approaches accordingly, right? And also while largely this is the setup and there is a distinction, but there are a lot of times you face the consulting kind of a environment in product organization too, or the vice versa, right? So don't go by a complete mindset. Okay, I'm in a consulting now. I'll only just go by this. I will only orchestrate and probably I will not ignore the product. No, it doesn't work. You will have to be really situational aware and kind of adapt yourself and maneuver your strategies and working style according to it. Yeah.
That are some really insightful tips. I'm sure our audience would love to adapt to these tips. So our next question is that what are some strategies you use to ensure design teams don't just deliver outcomes but also influence long-term business outcomes?
Right. No, that's a good question, right? This is typically what happens in the industry. What happens when you're an early stage designer or you work in an organization which is not very design mature and stuff. So there, what would help is first start with a change the mindset that you are not not driven by the outputs like the wireframes, UI mockup, prototypes and stuff, but the outcomes. Yeah. Understand the outcomes. So when you would understand those outcomes is asking better questions. So EY is built on that, right? So EY, it's actually practiced on almost every day, and that's one of the trainings that almost everybody who joins EY goes through, is asking better question. How to ask better question in every context, right? So when you ask questions, you understand what's the need, what's the context behind why we are doing it, and for whom we are doing it. So then you are able to tie your design to the outcome, right? So when you are and then once you understand that, your design outputs or your design decisions tie it to the business metrics. Business metrics, when I say, it could be the finance, or if you say, no, this is improve the user experience, but what is for the business? Does it improve adoption? By how much percentage? Adoption improves, and then also adoption, not only the adoption, by adoption, can it be tied back to the revenue? Or, right? So that's the thinking that people can do, should do it. It doesn't not happen over one day, but you start thinking, then you will collecting information, then tie back. Then see, once the business sees the outcomes tied to the business metrics, no, there is nobody could say, oh, I don't want revenue, just do it, design a beautiful screen, I'm okay, right? So that's where it is. So, and also start showcasing, once you start this, also start showcasing as small wins. You can't take big bang is tough, right? I want to let me change over everything, and then so you have to based on the context, you have to take a smaller steps, show small wins, and then once you get the trust and credibility from the teams, then your work becomes easier. You can easily so that's where you have to change the mindset and then understand what the business wants. Right, and then tie it back to your decisions or designs to it.
Can you share an experience where you use such things to create a really good outcome?
Oh, there is every day, right? This is all coming.
Like one of your favorite experiences.
So everything is fair. See, there a lot of times what happens is we all as a designers have seen these kind of a personas in our when we are dealing with. We go with a very simple design and very excited because I designed it following all the user inputs and stuff. But the stakeholder, one of the, because the design is a very visual and tangible thing, everybody has a say in it. They'll say, oh, but you know what, this button is not popping out. Oh, can we have a rounded corner more or a little more round? But that's not the question. But if they was, if they were asking me the questions more than, oh, how well it will impact my metrics, I would have been more happier than, oh, can we move 10 pixel by left and right? So that's almost every other project or thing happens, right? That's unless we start showing some of these metrics or there are a lot of debates, a lot of things. So yeah, I'll tell you. So unless you have the data driven, it would be tough to go prove that no, this is liked by design users, or this is what users wanted and stuff. So that becomes it's a common industry challenge. A lot of times you work without the insights or inputs from the users or right. A lot of times the stakeholders take I know everything about the user, I know everything, you design as per it, right? So that's where you will have these kind of challenges.
True. I personally faced this.
Yeah. Everybody, every designer's journey,
Yes.
it is not new. It is not, you are not alone, I am not alone. It's everybody. You talk to anyone in the conference, they have the same experience, right? So yeah, but that's how. So the communities and the events like this and their collective power, you would start slowly changing that mindset. And I do see the great change in the last 20 years and 25 years. So we come a long way. There is definitely change. Yeah.
So EY works across industries and geographies. So how do you see design evolving as a driver of digital transformation within large enterprises?
Right. So EY has been our key digital transformation, three key levers. One of the key lever as part of it is the humans at the center, right? And the technology, and then the business or the commercial part of it. When the Studio Plus is the same thing, right? So there is definitely now the businesses and everybody understand that without being a human centric solution, it won't sustain longer, right? So that change there's no go back from here. That is what we see. Every client comes to almost with, yes, we do want this to be a human centric, customer centric, we do want to make it an that's one. The other is integration of design and technology is even more getting better and better and better, because it unlocks a lot of possibility when these two come together, right? Like if we take AI or data or data science analytics, the insight that are coming in gives in a lot of input into it and a lot of possibilities, hope, and in terms of innovation and space. So that's another thing that is helping the digital transformation being driven better, right? And then
Do you believe AI is helping in automation?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, helping everything everywhere, right?
So you use it in day-to-day life?
Oh yeah. Our I mean, at an enterprise scale, as individual, there's a lot of AI usage. In fact, EY has its own AI platform to use.
Can you suggest some tools to the audience?
So there are different, depending on what you want to do and how, whether it's a research or whether it's a design or those things. So I definitely do not want to suggest one tool over the other right now, but there are definitely many tools. Everything is evolving. Almost every other day, everybody is in upping the game and releasing a better version of it. So it's too, I mean, I would probably say too early to say, oh, this is the best tool, go for it, and right. So everybody knows these ChatGPTs, DeepSeeks, and your Perplexity, and these for generative AI, Midjourney, and VO, and all. But everybody has their own limitations. We've been playing around. We're seeing what are the limitations at different places. So AI can give you an edge on the productivity, but still you or the designer has to make that decision whether this fits into my context or not. This applies.
Very true.
That is the ultimate.
Yes.
You can't deny it.
Totally agree.
Right.
So let's wrap it up. For young designers aspiring to be into the leadership roles like you, what skills or mindset should they cultivate into their practices?
Right. So one is definitely they need to ask better questions, better understand the business and the system, right? It's not only now my own screen or my own UX, what I'm working, I know, but how it impacts the business, where all it is impacting, whether if I'm suggesting a solution, whether it is a viable solution for the business or not. The implementation takes more time and effort than a small tweak, so you have to be able to think that system design. And the other thing is people should be able to learn to work in ambiguity and uncertainty. At a design leadership level, there is nobody, I mean, probably a lot of times what happens is there's nobody come and telling you, oh, today you do this or you do this, or this is what I want to be. There's a lot of times you have no clue on what's happening, then you have to kind of should be able to comprehend and then move forward. And then the other thing is the most important, improve your empathy or expand your empathy to the beyond your users. Don't just think what what your teams who are working with, what they want, how they can give, how you can enable them better to implement your things, how you can understand the business functions better and what they need.
Not only
Yeah, exactly. So that's the team and beyond the business, and right. So that's these are few things that people can yeah.
Thank you so much for this talk. I would just like to ask a few questions which are like rapid fire. You just have to like answer them very shortly.
Sure.
So describe yourself in one word.
Empathetic.
What is one book or movie that you find like that's my favorite of all time?
I haven't read many books. I've bought books, but I haven't read. So one thing that I read fully, it was Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Yeah,
that
one is really
but
good.
there were two things that came out, right? One is basically it says that if you want something so desperately and you need, and then the universe conspires you. But I learned later that it also needs your effort. You can just wish for it and sit and do nothing, and then it does not. You have to put effort. So that stayed. Still is what. Yeah, that's a good book for me.
So, what is the most favorite part of your at UX India?
Oh, UX India interactions, the conversations. I love to have them. So that's the best part. The main motivation for me. Of course, sharing knowledge and this is my talk, but any form of interactions is what I like. That's what is my favorite part.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really inspiring to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.